republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Approve the agenda minutes. Move to approve the agenda for tonight's meeting.
Motion to approve tonight's agenda, second by Sean, all in favor? Motion for the minutes,
Move to approve the minutes from the May 4th meeting.
second. All in favor?
Aye.
School committee chair comments. I'm excited to say we're 3/4 of the way through getting the override passed. It's very exciting. Tomorrow we'll know, hopefully be all the way there. That's it. Community comments. Is there anyone in the room for? Anyone online?
I see no hands raised.
Then we'll move on to student comments. So Misco Middle School presentation, school council update.
We're here to share some highlights from Misco Hill, and it's kind of MCAS season, so we're really busy. But I'm Alex. I'm in 8th grade, and I'm president of that JS.
My name's Aria, and I'm in 8th grade, and today's my birthday. Yeah.
I'm Sean, and I'm playing up to the Nipmuc volleyball team.
My name is Dylan, and I do the announcement for Misco.
My name's Addie, and I'm in Jackson. My name's Ayla, and I'm in acapella. Student council is a group of students in grades 5 through 8 who organize events and keep the community engaged with social events.
So this year, Mrs. McCourt and Ms. Rose decided to step up and stay for student council another year. They were planning on leaving, but our grade is just so great that they decided to stay. Some of the activities that we did this year, we did a talent show.
We also helped out with parent-teacher conferences, helping teachers stay on time with each individual meetings and helping families get to their destination.
We also did, for teacher appreciation, we carried around a cart, and it was like a little cart filled with food and there's some other stuff for teachers, and we just went into the school, giving teachers like snacks and stuff like that. And then we also carried their bags in the morning. We went to their cars and we asked if they wanted, and we also held up signs, making their pictures, and hung some around the school.
Yeah, another event we held was Volleyball, a volleyball tournament for 7th and 8th graders at Misco, where you can sign up with your friends and have costumes for your team and participate in a volleyball tournament for just a fun night with concessions and with your friends.
And one more thing that student council does, we do Spirit Week every week before vacation or of the vacation, just to get the students hyped, something exciting before the holidays and something to look forward to.
Sean and I were given the opportunity to host a talent show, which was entirely run by student council this year.
We had a great show out, and there were a variety of talents demonstrated, including karate, singing, dancing, and even magic. Like I said, it was a great show out and just an amazing experience for everyone.
I was lucky enough to have the opportunity to go on our Spain trip. I'm an SI, so it was a great way for me to practice my Spanish speaking. It was an 8-day trip with about 60 people made up of students, chaperones, and parents. Some of the activities we took part in was a gondola ride over some hills and mountains, which was really fun. A cooking class, we learned how to make some Spanish food, and a flamenco night where we got the opportunity to watch some traditional Spanish flamenco dance. A big night and event for us was the April Fair in Sevilla, It's already a big night culturally for people in Sevilla. It was really fun to experience everybody in their cultural outfit, and there was a bunch of rides for the students. We also got to visit Alhambra, which is basically a big castle made up of a bunch of different gardens and different buildings. The cities we visited were Madrid, Córdoba, Sevilla, Granada, Málaga, and Costa del Sol.
Another one of the cool opportunities at MISCO is the 1-8 showcase. It is in Boston at the New Balance track, where students get to travel to Boston to present their projects. There's a lot of different sorts of projects, such as the 5th graders got to present their ST Math program project. The 6th graders got to present the robotics project, and the 7th graders got to present their project-based learning project. The students presented their projects to industry professionals, so professionals in finance or marketing, and they received feedback that just entirely celebrated their hard work to get there, and that it also connects their work to the real world and how they could advance in what they want to do.
Disco Pops was our last concert of the year. It was more casual, fun pop music, like songs from Harry Potter, Moana, and Minecraft movie. All groups we performed, including a cappella and jazz band. This was the 8th graders' last concert at MISCO. Even though we weren't able to have it outside because it was raining, it was still relaxed, family vibe with food trucks. We'd like to thank Mrs. Lind, Mrs. Amatrona, Mr. Harding, and especially the way they stepped in to help Mr. Weber's absence.
Another cool opportunity at MISCO was Launch Day. Launch Day is an opportunity for students to travel up to Nipmuc and kind of just get a tour of the school and kind of help ease nerves about they're going up to this new school with a bunch of new kids. The high school students who are sophomores, juniors, and seniors got to be ambassadors for students. And they got to give students little hints at high school and what it was going to be like. And they also are wearing green bandanas on the first day of school to kind of see so new freshmen can see friendly faces if they saw as ambassadors.
Okay, so NJHS is a group of students who are made up of kids that have really high grades, and then it runs on 5 portfolios, which are citizenship, character, leadership, and service. And we have each year, or every new NJHS year, has a community project, and this year our community project is beautifying MISCO's courtyard, making it so it could be an upper classroom, just get lunch there, or just a space for kids in the summer to go outside. And we're also running Memorial Day,
which we're doing a Memorial Day assembly this May 22nd, this upcoming Friday. And we are focusing on a tribute to all the soldiers who sacrificed their lives.
These are some of the things that make MISCO special, and we hope that we continue. Thank you for your time and support.
Nice try.
Give me the opportunity to ask a question.
Yeah.
That is a lot of activities and events. What's some of you guys' favorite activities to get fun?
Ooh.
I really liked the talent show, which was really fun because I got to host and perform. So.
And we didn't, if you look here, we didn't talk about this, but I know band and chorus get a really fun field trip to Kennedy Lake Park. That's upcoming. And also 8th grade this year gets to go to Six Flags. So there are some upcoming events that people can look forward to.
I'm most excited to go to Six Flags.
Yeah.
I'm just really impressed with how well spoken everyone is. It's amazing. It's nice to see the 8th grade students coming up into high school. It's pretty fun.
You guys excited?
Student leaders.
It's fantastic.
You excited for high school?
Terrified.
How do you feel being the leader of the student council?
Honestly, I think it's pretty good. My parents also like do things with leadership, so I think it's like good confidence building for them.
Good.
I do like leader. So it's
Got a lot of good students here. It's pretty
Yeah.
fun.
It's awesome. Question? Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Right, over to our student reps.
All right, I'll start. Next Tuesday, juniors will be participating in the civics projects, which they'll be presenting the projects that they've worked on the entire year. And they'll be able to connect with different peers and get feedback. And then lastly, juniors will be participating in the junior internship, and they'll be starting next Wednesday. So I just want to say thank you to Mrs. Bennett and all of the people that are involved for creating this awesome opportunity for us.
This past Saturday, our Best Buddies chapter was able to attend the annual Best Buddies Walk or Friendship Walk. And that was in Polar Park in Worcester. And that was a nice fun day dedicated to inclusion, where we got to meet other chapters from across central Massachusetts. And I get to hear from Best Buddies ambassadors. And then seniors' last day is coming up very soon. It's this Thursday. And so that kicks off a busy week leading up to graduation. So we have a bunch of events coming up. So Thursday, we have a senior drive around where we sort of just do a few loops around Nipmuc. Then we have a senior trip on Friday, where we're going, I forget what the name is, but it's like a water park sort of vibe. Then we have a senior athletic awards night on the next Tuesday. And we have senior walk around on Wednesday, where we go to the different schools, which I'm most excited for. That's gonna be super fun. And then we have senior awards night on Wednesday as well, graduation rehearsal, and then graduation. So we made
Awesome. I'm looking forward. This is my first time attending the Nipmuc graduation
Oh,
ceremony,
really?
so I'm looking forward to it.
fire. You won't let down.
Oh, you gotta shake the hands.
No,
Vicky's gonna
Vicky's-
do it.
Vicky's gonna do it?
Yeah, it's not great.
Wow.
Because this is Sean's last meeting, we have something special for you. Keep thinking I'm gonna hit you with my chair. I want to thank you for all of your service in this role, and you have done an outstanding job in this role. Then, can a person be fired, or is it just like? I'm trying to pick up that word, but you've done a great job. You have to carry it on, and we'll have, someone come on board next year as well, but good luck to you and have fun till the remaining few days.
Yes.
Sean, you gotta take off your shoes. He's gonna step into.
Oh, yeah.
Big shoes to fill. Thanks, Sean.
Thank you.
On to new business. The mascot finalist announcement.
So we have a group of representatives that are gonna be sharing.
It's really a little bit.
Yeah.
Maureen, you need me to share my screen or?
Sam's gonna do it for you.
No, thank you. Wait, we're not ready yet. Too soon, it's too soon. Oh, okay, good.
So, tonight is the night where we announce, the new mascot for, MURSD. As just a reminder to everyone, in terms of, this is really a timeline of 5 years in the making. I know we've discussed it here, prior, so I don't wanna, go into it too much, but, predominantly, we've been working on this as a committee in a group, since January of this year, and it all culminates tonight. So there we go. Certainly, we've had a number of individuals and constituents that have been involved in this process at the high school level, at the middle school level, community, faculty, We've had parents. I want to thank John Diani for being here tonight. John was our parent representative. He's also the president of our boosters. So someone that has spent a lot of time around Nipmuc athletics. So a good understanding of the mascot and sort of everything that goes into that. We had alums, both Grace Merton, who is the class of 16, which is also one of our coaches and a teacher at Memorial. Steve Watson, who was class of 2007 and become the voice of athletics here for us. He announces all of our football games and basketball games and so on and so forth. So, and our two gentlemen that are standing up here with me today that are going to help unveil our new mascot. So without further ado, here we go.
Man,
So-
it's a tough looking dog.
Please understand that at least that's not the actual logo. We haven't gotten there quite yet. But one of the things that was important for us throughout this process was to use this opportunity to unify all of the buildings throughout MURSD. So not just Nipmuc, but Bisco Hill as well, and certainly our elementary school. So as we were going through the process as a committee, it was important to think about, what was a mascot that we felt that could be something that high school students could wrap their heads around and be excited about, but also our elementary school students as well. So I think we've done a good job about that.
All right, just to go over the ranking system of how we did it. So we broke down each individual group, divided them into 4 groups. So it was the students at the high school, and then it was all the younger students at the middle school, all the way down to 3rd grade. Then we had staff members and faculty, and then finally we had community members, which included alumni. And so how we broke that down is each of those groups had 25 points, and then that percentage of the people who voted for Coyote, that many points went into it. So overall, the Coyotes got 44 points, which is much more than these two. And if we go on to the next slide, it shows the breakdown of the different selections for each of those groups.
I love it.
Oh, cool.
All right, and then for selecting the mascot, we really wanted to have the mascot have an identity that offers ecological relevance, symbolic depth, and undeniable school spirit, with the main objective to have a powerful symbol that represents the geography of the Central Mass and also the spirit of the Nipmuc people. Then if you want to go to the next slide. What's important about the Eastern Coyote, it's a very endurance-based animal, so it's constantly been forced to move around, and we feel like that really reflects the Nipmuc body, which is constantly being forced to move around.
So yeah, the other thing just to mention with regards to the Coyote is the Coyote carried a lot of meaning, to the Nipmuc people, which is one of the reasons that, as we did more in-depth look at our mascots, that was one of the things I think that always stood out with regards to the Coyotes specifically, was the connection to, historically speaking, to the Nipmuc people. So that was important to us. I think too, when you look at what we're going to start doing moving forward, once again, obviously, it's going to give us an opportunity to rebrand everything, something more modern, more sleek. It allows us to play around with the color scheme a little bit, though we are certainly not giving up on the green and white by any stretch. With the Coyote, you have a Hal. We thought that would be kind of fun, and it's something I think we can lean into, whether it be at sporting events, whether it be, at elementary school events, middle school events. So I think we can have a lot of fun with that. And then, certainly the language comes with it, our student section, we can be called the pack. So we can sort of lean into all of those things that go into the identity, similar to what Grafton has done around their new mascot. So we did really like that. The other thing too, we felt as we talk about the logo and kind of what the process looks like going forward, it's one that we could tailor to, once again, our elementary school, which might look a little bit different than our middle and high school, who will certainly use it as part of their athletic identity in our sports teams. So that leads us to our timeline kind of moving forward, now that we know we are the Coyotes. So for now, it's really working with some professional branders. We work with a particular company at the high school level that has an entire branding outfit. So I've already been in discussion with them and really about doing the whole thing, that we have specific colors that are our own colors, right? Specific logos. You know, we have the N, we have the M and the U, you know, MU and the M and the H for Misco Hill. So sort of broadening that. Then ultimately, we'll move on to really the rollout and using that, incorporating that in our uniforms moving forward, incorporating that in our branding with regards to our new athletic facility that will be coming soon. So really a neat time to be a part of this. And I think it'll be very exciting for us to kick this off in the fall fully, and sort of a new chapter. So there we are. Cool. Very good. Questions?
This is exciting. I will lie, Coyotes is my favorite from the beginning.
It was mine too, for the record, so.
It's like the neighborhoods have not really many bear sightings. I'm not gonna talk about northeasters, but we have coyote sightings all over the place.
Yeah, absolutely.
People are afraid of their bulldogs for guys. Oh, we could be battling the bulldogs. So I love this thing. It's great.
And I love that the numbers show, like, across the board, Coyotes was the top choice, so.
That was the thing I think that excited us when we sat down as a committee last week and sort of dove into the numbers. It was unanimous across the board, as you could see. And it and kind of when you look at it, it wasn't really close either. So you know, we, in a time where getting so unanimous consent is fairly difficult, we managed to find a way. So yeah, we're looking forward to it.
If I could just add, I just want to thank you, Chris, for leading us through this. It's not an easy task for a district to schools to move through a mascot process, but I think you did a great job. I think the committee was such great conversations that we had, and there was so much community input from beginning to end that I just love that it's great that it worked out perfectly, right? You know, and we have consensus, but it seemed to be evolving that consensus throughout the whole process. And but it's a lot of work went into making that happen. So thank you, and thank you for the students and everyone, and alumni and other representatives. Just really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, Cheryl and Ryan, teaching and learning report.
No,
Nope.
CPAC.
Nope, sorry, I skipped it. Yes, CPAC, interview something.
Always come here. Yeah, CPAC likes the pack.
Yeah,
you give me the.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's great.
Give him different order.
No, so.
Yes, so go ahead. I'm Nicole Phillips. I have 2 kids in the special ed program on IEPs. I have one in Memorial and one in preschool at Clough. I am marketing on the CPAC. Hi, I'm Sharon Norton. I'm at 100 Orchard Street, Upton, Fort Myers. I have a child in 1st grade and 10th grade, and I am the president of CPAC.
Hi, everyone. I'm Julie Baldiga. I am co-secretary of CPAC. I have 2 kiddos. We're thrilled to be here tonight in 2nd and 4th grade at Memorial.
Good evening. My name is Julia Kale, and I have 2 children, one at Memorial and one at Misco, and I am the other co-secretary, Julie and Julia.
I'm Rebecca Getman. I have an 8th grader and a 10th grader. Just texting my 10th grader about the mascot. And I'm the vice president of CPAC. Glad to be here.
So what is a CPAC? In case anybody doesn't know, it's Special Ed Parent Advisory Council. We welcome faculty also to join our conversations because we love the input. But we're a parent-led organization that works in partnership with families, educators, and district administrators to support students receiving services or looking for them through student support services.
So in the last year, many of you probably know, we've gone a few years without a really active CPAC in the district. And so our focus really was on reestablishing norms. So we really wanted to build relationships with families across the district, strengthen collaboration with district administrators, make sure our communication was frequent and clear, increase visibility, and really provide a space to support families through the special ed process or through the student services process, depending on what their needs are. I think we've done a pretty good job of that, I hope. And go to the next slide. So this year, what we've done, one, we recruited a full CPAC board. We're really excited about that. We have new bylaws. We did hold meetings every month and had new parents that attend every meeting, and some faculty, which was really great. And really just tried to increase our presence on social media, on Facebook, on Instagram, just to make sure that folks know that we exist, and that we're here as a resource for students and for the district itself, or for parents, for families in the district itself. Sorry. I think one of our biggest accomplishments is that we met every month with Dr. Allison and in student support services to really make sure that we were bringing issues to him, that he could bring issues to us, that we could really create a trusting, well-established collaboration. Things we did this year were talk a lot about ESY and that process. How we share information about the budget impacts come on Mendon, and thought about how to integrate AI into the very confusing special ed process that would be helpful for families. We're really excited about all of these accomplishments.
So as we look ahead to next school year, we have a laundry list of things that we want to do. I feel like it kept growing and growing. Every meeting we had, we're like, oh, we want to do that. Oh, we want to do that. So we're really trying to hone in and focus on where to go next. I think this past year, as Rebecca said, we really just wanted to like establish our existence, so to speak, like make sure people know we're here, and that we're accepting and that we're here to listen. So for moving forward, we really want to have a yearly calendar of meetings and events like laid out, ready to go, so that everyone knows, oh, it's the second Tuesday of the month. This is when CPAC is, something of that nature. We want to have monthly newsletters, assist with the website updates. We've been working a little bit with Frank on that. Having that positive presence within the district and the community. We just put this one on there. Increased involvement with the Mendon community. We have noticed a drastic difference, lack of involvement from Mendon.
We're all from Upton. That's
yes.
not intentional.
Yeah, and so we're like, oh, something's missing. So we really want to figure out what's going on, but also make sure we're much more intentional in getting into Mendon and having that involve them. The biggest thing that kept coming up for us that we really want to work on is how our communication from student support services goes out to the district and what families know about. And so really thinking about what gets distributed to families at those eligibility meetings, what gets distributed to families when they walk into the district for the first time, whether it's K or not, whether they need services or they don't know if they need services or if they have no clue what the heck is going on. Helping them to understand what is that process. We're here to help. What are the different forms and things that they need? Because we all know that's insane. And just being that resource to make sure that we are available to help, but also point them in the right direction. We did work with Frank a lot about this, not a lot, but he shared the AI tool that he's been working really hard on. And so thinking about how can we push that out as well as part of our support services.
And we're looking to do more community collaboration next year. We have talked a lot about not only our monthly meetings with the general membership, but we want to also do some casual meetups. Maybe a little more comfortable for some people to join us, some social events, even to bring families, the kids, fundraising opportunities. We would like to collaborate with other neighboring CPACs since we were kind of out of it for a couple of years. We're all new here. And even if we've had kids in student services for a couple of years, sometimes we still feel like, what can I do? What else can I learn? So we're looking to do a CPAC event with other towns, have guest speakers and workshops during our general membership meetings, family resource fairs. And right now we just worked on a family feedback survey that is going to be going out this week to see if there's anything else we can improve on, what people enjoyed that we did this year. And really, we just want to continue building bridges between the schools, district, families, and the community.
And so we have talked about continued areas of interest and expansion as we kind of like dipped our toes into certain topics and how we want to extend that into future years. Next year, future years. And one of those things, ESY, we continue to get feedback from families about ESY. Frank has done amazing things. Getting information out, extending the preschool programming, and families need to know about that. So we want to say what's our role in helping families access those services if they're eligible. 18 to 22 programming continues to come up as an area that we want to be able to provide feedback around. And after school opportunities, summer camp alignment supports. We talked about inclusivity at these events, especially with extracurricular and curricular activities. I think that it's an area that we all could be doing better, every school district. And so we want to always have that on our radar. How can we provide most inclusive events for families? And that was a topic that would continue to come up, or we would see events happening in neighboring communities and say, hey, why weren't we, part of this? Our community would have loved to have participated in this. So building the collaborations to do that, that includes Special Olympics, and expand accessibility to district programs, making sure that families know that if you are receiving student support services, this may not be a barrier to your child doing certain activities, because we're finding as we speak to families, not everybody knows that. They say like, oh, well, my child is on IEP or receiving speech, probably maybe Spanish immersion is too overwhelming, for my child, but that might not be the case. So how can you have those conversations with your child support team and, really create that inclusive feeling here in the district? So that is, I think, the last. Okay. Yes, and Nicole has done such a fabulous job bringing back to life all of the socials. I think they went to no updates since 2021, and now she's every day posting updates, and we've included on our socials information with Stronger Together, which families were able to access. We had a lot of great conversations with families around how the budget impacted special needs families. But yes, our socials are doing great and they're very up to date, and we hope to be using them a lot in the future. So.
And if folks are, I don't know how many of us are on, how many of you are on Zoom or whatever, but this is the QR code for the parent feedback survey. You can also see any of our socials for updates for nominations for the board next year. The board it's all 1-year positions. And so we really welcome people to nominate themselves, nominate their friends and colleagues and other families, and get involved, particularly for Mendon.
Please. More hands the better.
Well, I'm super glad that CPAC is the thing again, and shout out to the community. This is the opportunity to build consensus across the peers and work with Frank and really make a difference. This is how to do it. So thank you for getting it started. I'm glad you guys have 1 year under your belt. A question as a council, what's one of the areas, Frank is rounding up his first year here. what's one thing that you think is most improved since Frank took his role?
I would just say like a vague umbrella of communication.
Yep.
I would just say it just feels like people are more informed. I think there's so much work to do. But I think that is definitely something that Frank is very aware of, was something that had to be worked on. But I think that was, you know, whether it's just an email or newsletters, including different things, or, you know, special education staff being aware of and telling parents what they need to know, I think has come miles.
And I think Frank has just been super welcoming to us. That every time we meet with him, we just feel so comfortable to talk to him about any, honestly, that.
Yeah.
Good, bad, and
he's heard it all.
And I hope that's something the community also sees, that it's been a great change with
We've got
Frank on board.
feedback from the community about him also, so great addition.
And you guys had a long laundry list of areas of improvements here, like looking at the next year, what would you say is the most critical thing that you want to focus on? Outside of communication, I mean, obviously that's important, it's something you guys can pioneer, but what's the
I think
thing you
it's,
can work with the
I
district?
think it's still, I don't want to like, I think it's still that communication and that awareness, right? So like we were talking about, I think every time we have general people come into our meetings, it's like, oh, I didn't even know this was a thing. Or, oh, I've been in the district for 4 years and I have no idea if my kiddo should be receiving services, or where to begin, or what I'm supposed to do, or who do I talk to, or, you know, there's just this overwhelming feeling. And we always feel, I feel like we've all like said it 1,000 times, it's like, we don't know any more than you all do as parents. Like, we're all just trying to do this together and like help each other to kind of move in the right direction. And so I think we've definitely talked about really needing a place for resources, but also an opportunity to put those resources out.
I think if I could sum those two questions together, I think one of the biggest improvements is that we went from, I think largely, I don't want to speak for everyone obviously, but went from a place where the district was a barrier to our kids thriving rather than a facilitator. And that has really shifted. Like, I think really we've come a long way in terms of like sitting on the same side of the table, you know, to make sure our kids are thriving.
Yep.
And I think building those collaborations and building, whether it's parent education, whether it's collaboration with other CPACs or other districts or other organizations, those two things I think together sort of are what we're really trying to do.
And I think too, I don't want to, like, Frank texted us or emailed us on Friday afternoon and was like, hey, FYI, you're going into the weekend and we have this exciting news. Like, and I don't want to say the words wrong. So can you tell me what you said?
Oh,
Which email?
Yes. Yeah, which email? The Jesse.
We're probably stealing his thunder.
I know,
but
I'm
yeah.
sorry. Okay, I'll be quiet. You can.
That's fine. We're fully in compliance with this. We passed our
Yeah.
corrective action plan. and we're fully all set.
And when we first met, it's a huge deal. And when we first met with Frank for the first time, he's like, well, would you like the list of all the things that we're not in compliance with, right? And so we went from that to being in compliance in one academic year. Like, I think that should not be understated.
Well, and that represents consistency, right? You know, Frank went to the different areas and made sure that all areas were, you know, making changes consistently.
Yep.
And that goes a long way, you know, when we're trying to have conversations with parents about what is available to your child.
And our kids thriving at the end of the day.
Just like the ESY brochure that went out.
Yes.
Great
Including,
transparency.
you can see why we have a laundry list.
We just
We can be here forever. There's a lot of energy behind this, obviously.
This is like, I think, how many times I've been, okay, so this is what, 8 years now that I've been on school committee. Never once seen CPAC presented.
Really?
So I'm really, it's very cool that the energy is there. So one question I would ask is, we've had lots of stops and starts.
Yeah.
How do we keep this going? You know, we get some energy, and then obviously parents get into, their children move into a different phase, and it becomes difficult to keep in touch with the activities of CPAC.
I think there's so many pieces to it. I think one is we're only 1 year term. And we wanted that intentionally because we wanted to keep bringing in new people and new ideas and fresh faces. But also that's why we're so invested in like bringing more Mendon people in. Like it should not be, and actually across us, we have a very wide range of ages.
Yeah.
And
We go from
so
preschool, pre-K, all the way to high school.
yeah, and so I think that's helpful because we have a very large view of the district, minus Mendon. I do think that helps, but I think also this year there were so many things we wanted to do. We really focused on like, we just need to
Be here.
just
Yeah.
like, hi, like we're alive. Like that was our main goal. And I think from here on out, we can really like push forward and do what we want to do.
Well, thank you for what you said at the budget hearing, and also all of the information you have about how Frank's performing, which sounds like it's fantastic. But
Yeah, we should.
Yeah, definitely.
so yeah, that's all very useful to any parent who's faced with a lot of problems.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I agree, having a wide distribution across all of the schools is critical, because if you were all from Nipmuc, we'd be hearing all the things from Nipmuc, Misco, but it allows you guys to really give a organic view across the whole district, so. Thank you, guys. Any other questions? Nothing.
See, the person who knows all
I'm
about
just
it.
jealous they weren't in fully established while my kids were in school.
Yeah. No, but it's really, I mean, I don't want to speak for anything that's going on, but it's very difficult when I've talked to parents who have special needs kids. It's been very difficult to get that kind of, it's not even getting what they want. It's more just understanding the framework that they have to communicate.
Yes. Yeah.
So just thank you so much for taking responsibility and stepping up for this. It's really, really important for the district.
Absolutely. It's a collaboration and we're excited to be part of it with all of you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Now on to superintendent administrative reports.
Good evening, everyone. So thank you for having me. We're gonna just go over a little bit of presentation. Thank you for the feedback for being here. Appreciate you guys coming and supporting the district and giving them a presentation. I think that was really important for us to see all the good work you guys are doing and for the community to hear that. So the presentation that I have tonight is primarily going to go over my entry plan findings and really talk a little bit about what some of my recommendations for the future of the district and the special education. First, would like to start off by just reframing the whole purpose of the entry plan, which was really a comprehensive review of the system, the structures, instructional practices, stakeholder feedback, and student outcomes across the district. So my analysis was really looking at all of the documents. I also sent out a parent survey and really just reviewing some programming, IEPs, different services, and overall just trying to capture a snapshot of the entire district as a whole. The purpose obviously was to highlight the key findings, identify some strengths and some challenges that we're facing in the district, and then recommend some strategic improvements. So there's a couple of different areas that I've looked at that sort of kind of overarching areas. The first one being the system structures and compliance. So regarding system structures and compliance, the key findings is that the district has very highly effective systems and structures for special education. One of the difficulties or the challenges is that our structures are working really well individually in each of the schools. And we really need to help sort of kind of establish like some cohesion and some understanding across practices across all the schools, so that our students are all getting the sort of the same experiences and the same access to services. One of the big challenges that I walked into in the district was really the tiered focus monitoring review. There was a number of findings that we needed to deal with, develop the corrective action plan, and the team chairs and the other staff members were amazing in helping us get through it, doing the work, with DESE timelines and all kinds of different things that we had to do. And we made it through the other end and we're fully in compliance. So that was a big win, but it was very, again, it was a big barrier coming into the district, looking at all the compliance things that we had to tighten up. And then as part of that process, I created a student service support manual, procedural manual for the district to really kind of help support practices and procedures. And with that, what the CPAC was sort of kind of talking about is I also created, with the help of Ryan and his team, an AI sort of app that parents can access that that procedural manual and ask it questions in real time, just like a chatbot. And it was sort of kind of lay out a lot of the practices and procedures that we do in the district. So it would give them real-time information about our processes. And one of the things that I did was I piloted the team chairs, but I've also piloted with the CPAC, and they gave me some great feedback. And with that feedback, I'm able to sort of kind of go back and tweak the AI agent as well, so it gives out more accurate information as well. So, and that's been great, and that's something that I'm hoping to roll out for the beginning of the year. So the biggest sort of thing that to take away for the systems and structures is that we really have a lot of effective systems, and we, again, it's just really about developing that coherence and then continual alignment across the district. When it comes to staff roles, responsibility, and capacity, what I found is that we have amazing staff members, very highly educated staff members, dedicated, they show up every day. They work their butt off, and they're really there, and they support the students. They reach out to family, they develop really good relationship with families. And teachers and the support personnel, they consistently demonstrate strong relationship with parents and families. And the building-based teams within each of the buildings are very, very strong. They're knowledgeable, and they really understand students and student needs. So what I found in this particular area, right, is that we have to sort of ensure that our instructional and support responsibilities are sort of appropriately balanced between the staff members that we have that are licensed and the staff members that are paraprofessionals. So we really need to think about what is sort of specialized instructions and what is support for students, so we can make sure that those are the right staff that are sitting in front of those students. And that's the way you're going to see some of these students really start to grow and begin to close that achievement gap. And so staff assignments need to consistently reflect, again, appropriate licensure and area of expertise for those specific students. So meaning that if you've got a sub-separate program, that a licensed teacher in sub-separate program, you should be sitting in front of them supporting. And so professional development, we have a great professional development system that needs to continue, but we also cannot forget that we need to continue to provide special education training around compliance and legal procedures. We can't forget about those because those always show up all the time. And then the other piece of it is really focusing on strengthening and increasing our use of data-informed decision-making practices. A lot of these staff love these children. They love them. But you can't be a mother to all of the children. You have to use data to inform your decision-making. That is key, because without the data to support that, sometimes our biases can get in the way and can prevent from those kids from getting exactly what they need. And sometimes what I've seen, it creates a reliance on staff members versus independence. We want our kids to be independent. We don't want them to have to go into high school, relying on a paraprofessional one-to-one. So we need to be able to separate our emotions and really focus on data-driven decisions for our students so they can make effective. When it comes to instructional quality and decision-making, students with disabilities, the data shows, and it's MCAS data, performance data, you can see it, it's out there. I'm not going to spend a lot of time going over it, but essentially, our students are underperforming across the board in all subject areas. Our students are graduating 70% lower than students of non-disabled peers. So meaning on a 4-year graduation rate, there are about 17% of those students that have disabilities that are graduating a 5th year or going another year because they're not ready. So what that means is that we need to continue to improve our special education programming, our instructional practices, and really begin to provide high quality instructional material across the board, especially for the students in the sub-separate programs. So there's a lot of great curriculum, high quality curriculum that can really support our students' growth, and we need to invest in those curriculums to support them. So continued refinement of inclusive opportunities. So continue to provide training, co-teaching, different type of push-in models. We also need to ensure that we are providing evidence-based, high-quality instruction across the board. And the next category was the stakeholder engagement. So part of the stakeholder engagement, had a lot of conversations with families, a lot of conversation with CPAC members, and also I had a survey that went out to families that I got a lot of very, very good feedback from parents. What I found is that, many families describe the district as an amazing partner. They're able to communicate effectively with the teachers, the staff members, there's great communication. However, there's many of them reported that they've had challenges in the process of accessing services and programs for their child over the years, particularly in understanding and navigating how to obtain appropriate services. So that's been a challenge. It's something that that the parents have highlighted that is one of the goals that we aim to improve and work with the CPAC as well to improve. So we can be able to educate parents, have many more family nights to provide more workshops and different things for family members so they can get that education. And then using the technology as well to help support their understanding. So by strengthening the communication between the families and the Office of Student Services, we'll begin to sort of rebuild confidence in the district level processes. And then, through those sustained efforts, we're going to see family members feel more confident and more comfortable with the decisions from IEP teams, from the special education teachers. And then, when they feel that we're all on the same team, they're gonna feel empowered. They're gonna feel supported, and our students are gonna begin to thrive once we continue to partner with each other. So those are the key areas that I kind of looked at, and sort of some of the findings and the analysis that went with it. So the next category really thinks about throughout those different categories. What was the overall or the general themes that I found in there? So the key challenges across the board. And some of these that, I kind of already talked about, but, it's coherence across the district in order to improve procedures and system processes that rely on data to inform decision-making, coherence across the district to identify students, identify systems that are aligned to sort of identify students that are in need, provide intervention when necessary, and then when to refer them to special education services. Well, we have really strong, powerful SS teams, student support teams, or student success teams in each of the buildings. We need to continue to work with them so we can align the practices and so that, we're doing the best for our students. And, it doesn't matter what school you go to, you're going to get those same services and that type of, support. Improvement in the provisions of services so that foster independence and challenge students. This is really talking about raising the bar for special education students, right? So looking at our goals and objectives and making sure that they're challenging, making sure that they're appropriate for students, and that they're measuring what we need them to measure and focused on what we need them to focus on. And then our continuum of service. So right now we have a continuum of service, but it needs to expand. It needs to go into develop, programs for social emotional learning. It needs to go into social skills to help those students that need those type of services. The more that we can expand our continuum of service, the more students are going to be able to stay in the district and not go out of district. So that's a big, area that we really need to focus on as well. Alignment of special education instructional programming. Very similar, and a shared understanding of specialized instruction versus student supports across the board. And I think that the more we use the same language, the more that we understand, special education practices, the better it's going to align and be able to, all students will be able to access services appropriately. And then improve programming in order to reduce or eliminate the achievement gaps and post-secondary outcomes disparity between students with disabilities and non-disabled peers. So when it comes to improving programming, I'm talking about not just improving, but expanding, right? So making sure that our pre-K program has, a full day program for students that really need that additional support, that sub-separate program. It's, creating a nonverbal learning disorder program or a language-based classroom that is lacking in the district. So it's those services or those additional programming, that's what's going to keep kids and parents here in the district. So recommendations, some of my recommendations for immediate action, which we've already started and probably, people have seen, adjusting staffing patterns and scheduling to assure equitable workloads. We've been talking a lot about equitable workloads, especially with the related service providers. We've taken a little step back to wait to see how all the votes kind of, pan out. But, once we go back, we're going to go right back into it because equitable workloads are important. Because it's really going to, make sure that we hold on to those really, really good staff that we have. Clearly define service delivery models. We've been working with that on the team chairs. The team chairs have grown so much this year. They've done an amazing job. And so they've really helped. And they, when I work with the team chairs, I don't just go in and say, you're going to do this, you're going to do that. It's more collaborative. We talk about, let's look at the process. Well, these are the regulations. This is what we can and can't do. Let's think about that together. How do we want to approach this specific topic? And we figure out the plan, we figure out those things and kind of move forward. So it's been a great collaboration with them. Expand specialized reading instruction using evidence-based practices. We continue to sort of kind of rely on one or two staff members that are really, really talented in providing reading services. We need to be able to empower all staff members in the special education department to have strong reading support so they can provide those services as well. So we want to make sure that we can do that. And also looking at our IEP system, we have a pretty antiquated IEP system called ESPED. It's been around for like very, very long time, but they're a lot more efficient and more powerful programs that are out there that we've been exploring to help support staff members and make writing the IEP process a lot more efficient and easier for staff. So short-term goals for the special education department or Office of Student Services is to continue professional development, supervision for team chairs, establish clear entrance and exit criteria for our programs. Those are going to be very important to make sure that we know exactly how those programs are going to be servicing or supporting our students. And then when they're ready to transition back or to a different program. It's all about getting the students what they need. Review and adopt curriculum for substantially separate programs. We've begun this process. We've kind of looked at a couple of programs. We still haven't really decided on what we want to use yet, but we're going to continue that process moving forward. Improve scheduling to allow students access to Tier 1 instruction. This is just continued work with our scheduling committee and our scheduling team, because one of our priorities is to make sure that students aren't pulled from Tier 1 instruction to receive services. We need to make sure that they're in those classes, that they're getting those instruction, and that we find other times and other opportunities to give them those services. So we've been working with that team, and so it's definitely a goal for us to improve. And then again, improving our pre-K programming across the board. Our long-term goals, again, continue to strengthen our inclusive practices. We have an amazing inclusion program. A lot of our students with autism are actually, going into different gen ed classrooms and getting that gen ed experience. We need to continue to strengthen that, but we also need to continue to provide professional development for staff members so they can continue to improve that. Excuse me. Comprehensive consumer service. Again, we talked a little bit about that, but my long-term goal is to make sure that we really have a robust and comprehensive consumer service. Implement a language-based program, expand social emotional programming across the district, implement a district-wide social skills program, create a strategic staffing model, and hopefully at some point we'll get a special education coordinator as well to help with the work. So I kind of wanted to wind down the presentation with just talking a little bit about some of our key accomplishments this year. I feel like it's been a long year, but I think it's been a very fast year. I feel like there's been so much. So some of the things that the team and I have completed is, again, the tiered focused monitoring review. We were able to get that done and be fully compliant with DESE. Our OSS procedural manual and AI tool. The next step for the AI tool is it's going to be given to the teachers and the related service providers to take a look at and beta test it. And then once it clears them, I think we'll be ready to go and make it a live tool. Ongoing professional development for team chairs to continue to build their capacity around IEP team processes and regulations and sort of legal procedures and things like that. We reestablished CPAC, which is awesome. And they've been a great partners, and I can't say enough about them. We also had a parent and family engagement night, which really was very successful. We were hoping to do another one at the end of May, but there's just been a lot going on, so I think we had to postpone it. But we want to do more community outreach and make sure that we're reaching more families and providing them with those workshops and supports that they need. And then we also, we got an 85%, which is a meets requirement score on the DESE annual IDA LEA determination, which for some of you don't know, it's basically a report card for special education. It kind of tells us how we've been doing with compliance, graduation rates, different things like that. So, and so we're up to 85%. It was a 79 last year. So we're making progress there, which is great. All right, so that's kind of it for like the gist of everything that's been going on. I included another slide just to kind of inform the committee about a couple of things that are going on. NIPMUC right now, the transition program is having the food drive till June 22nd. It will go to the food pantry. So that's ongoing. We do have a Special Olympics event coming up this Thursday in Grafton. And so that's from 9 to 1 p.m. at Grafton High School. We have teams from the high school, the elementary, and MISCO attending that event. They're all excited about it. We made them t-shirts, so they're ready to go. ESY will begin on June 22nd to August 4th, so just keep that in mind. There's also information about ESY on our website if anybody needs to get some more information on that. And then we just invited pre-K parents of general education students slots for the summer program. So parents that have kids that are in the pre-K program right now, there are some summer slots for them to pay some tuition and have their kids go to the ESY program with their peers. And that's it for me.
Awesome. Well, first, thank you. And I'm glad you're on board, and I'm glad CPAC has your support, and things seem to be heading in the right direction. Desi seems to agree. So all signs point to the right direction. How do you feel after your first year?
I feel good. I feel really good. There's a lot more work to do, but it's getting done, and we're moving forward. We have a great team. We have great support. Dr. Cohen has been amazing support as well. I think all the staff members in central office, they've all been welcoming, they've all been supportive. Everyone pitches in when they need to, and all work together, which is great.
I've been to the sessions at mass conferences, special ed. It was a big concern for me, especially early on in the school committee. And it was still opaque, as you can believe, from my mind. I did not understand the process. I didn't understand the dynamics. Your report gives me more information I've gotten from all those sessions. I'm starting to understand now, especially when you see the gaps and you start to say, he sees a problem there. He sees this can be, okay, now I start to understand what the full dynamics are with teaching our special education kids. So I can't say enough about just starting to understand myself, educate myself and what all the problems are and dynamics. It really helps me out a lot. So I can just imagine what you're doing for the program. It's fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And again, I think knowledge is power. And that's the other thing, like we really want to make sure that the parents get all the knowledge that they can. You know what I mean? Because when they come to the table and they have that knowledge, the conversations go much smoother, and you can work collaboratively. When they come to the table, they don't understand. Sometimes it's hard for them to sort of accept, or even just have the confidence in the district to making right decisions. Right. So we really need to help them feel confident and educated in those processes.
Understood.
Question, or maybe a point of interest, I think, around the service delivery models came up a lot in what you were talking about. And that's something, just for a little bit of background, I had a special education student who graduated 2 years ago who really struggled because the service delivery models were too rigid to really meet her needs, and staffing continually came up as one of the barriers to why that couldn't happen. So I guess maybe this is just less of a question, but more of I'll be really interested to hear how those service delivery models are being considered as you move forward with more experience in our district. And I'll encourage you to be mindful of the students who don't fit some of the models that we've had in place for a long time.
Yep, and that's been a topic of conversation on a number of different occasions. We keep trying to put kids in the right box, and it's not about that. It's about getting the kids what they need, being flexible, being able to sort of think outside the box, being creative. There's a ton of different ways, but at the end of the day, it's really about getting the students what they need.
And I'm curious to know, after asking about this, do you feel like you have the staffing necessary to be flexible at this point? Hopefully we will be successful in our efforts tomorrow in Mendon, and thinking forward to future budget years. What is it that we can be doing as a committee to support some of that work? Because I do feel like it's something that we really need to be addressing.
Yes, and I think that that's a difficult question to answer because it's a process, right? So when you go in and you look at all the service deliveries and everything like that, to make very long-term systemic change, you can't just sort of go in and rip the Band-Aid off, right? So you have to sort of kind of strategically figure out where are your entry points, where am I going to start? And this is where I'm going to start the change to make sure that it's effective long-term. So I can say right now, if the vote passes, yes, we will have the staff to sustain what we need to do. But moving forward, it might change. It might change because again, it's going to be a systemic change in how we move that service to a remote.
But I think two things that we could focus on, and you kind of mentioned them, a greater coherence in how students are identified, eval, and provide meaningful services, and then improving the IEP software. But I remember when my kids were getting into the speech therapy, took a long time to identify, then it took a long time to eval, and then there was like a 30-day mandate from the state before the first IEP meeting. And it was literally 30 days from when they were eval to when we had the first IEP meeting. And it was speech therapy. It was very obvious that they needed it. They bottom 1% of, so it was very obvious. And one of the getting services sooner, faster, especially early on, right? That first impressions matter. And so when it takes that long, my kid needs these services and I needed them yesterday. Getting that right in it together, that partnering with people and making sure that we're providing services as quickly and effectively is a critical first step. And I think that first impression is something that we can really improve. And there's a metric that we can go by and say all right, how long does it take from someone to enter in, get eval and then start providing services?
Well, there is a metric and it's part of the whole compliance stuff and we fixed it.
Good. There we go.
And it's on the district website.
You should have interrupted me sooner. And then the other thing, so we heard Alex up here saying she's very scared to transition from middle school to high school. So I can only imagine that kids receiving student support services also are very intimidated by that transition, both from 4th to 5th and then also middle school to high school. So, and I think that's something that we can do without huge staffing increases. It's more about organization and management, comfort and introduction to the new environments. And so I think that's something that we can make a huge improvement on.
I agree. I think this year we really focused more on the vertical articulation between the staffing. So staff have had a lot of conversations about the students that are moving up from the elementary to the middle school, the middle school to the high school. Lots of conversations about what they need, what are their supports. We had a really great meeting at Clough to talk about students with social emotional concerns and needs that are coming up to the middle school. What supports do we need to put in place? How do we sort of service them? What does their service delivery look like? And so we've had those conversations, and those conversations have been taking place. We even have another meeting tomorrow between MISCO and NIPMUC to continue to have conversations with students in the subsector program going up to the high school. So we've been doing a lot of that. I think to your point, we need to also focus in on next year's how do we get the students to be part of that process and being able to go to see the schools in a different method, in a different way to feel more comfortable.
Any other?
I can add though, like I was at the launch day that we had at NIPMUC on Friday, and the 8th grade students, all the students were here and participating and included, and it was amazing. So we've been, adding on a school level to different additional opportunities, improving it over the years, and it was really nice to see. So I just want to add that in.
I don't doubt. Well, thanks for coming on board, Frank, and we're just glad to have you here. CPAC's glad CPAC's here, and you got their support. I like the way the ship's going.
Yeah, good reports from parents do a lot.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, I tell everybody you have to partner with parents. That's the key, right? It's their child. We're providing services for them. So we have to partner with them. It's the only thing that's the best solution. Cool. All right.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Now.
Sit here.
Yeah, why not?
All right, we're rounding out this really cool segment of presentations, all focusing on the needs of our students. Ryan and I together, we're going to share some of the things that educators across the district accomplished this year regarding our MTSS. And so we're going to talk about the team. We're going to talk about revisions to the DCAP, some tools that we've added in the DCAP, including a very cool one called the DCAP PAL. Student success teams, our self-study of teams across the district, and where we hope to go with that, and how we hope to integrate even more the use of data through the common platform and the bright spots that we've seen student success teams across the district using. And this is all going to culminate in resources that we've been able to provide on the web through these electronic resources for families and for educators. This work spans across all of these 4 strategic priorities, focusing mostly on the data use in the high quality curriculum and instruction. There's a lot of the kind of back end of our data systems that pops up when we're looking at how to think about capturing the information that could help us make better decisions, and also, as Frank was just alluding to, help students transition from one grade to the next or one teacher to the next. A lot of this has to do with equity and inclusion, especially in regards to our ability to be able to look at subgroups and be able to identify, as Frank was alluding to as well, the needs of different subgroups on an aggregate level, and then the individual needs of kids. And then the resources our community supports, and all of this is really focused on this last strategic goal, which is about reducing the achievement gaps. So we assembled a district-wide MTSS team. It was a great representative team with a counselor. Anne was on it, so she was representing the principals. Frank consulted, and we had our instructional coach and special ed teachers and also general ed teachers involved. Their main charge was to first revise the DCAP, second to review our MTS processes and to be able to talk about it in a way that would help educators and also be able to instill the use of the DCAP into the process and bring it all back to their schools so that we could continue to get feedback and refine the product that is available on our website now.
one of the ways that we try to revise this is get it more modern, get something that's more actionable and operational. So like if you've seen the DCAP, it's a ton of lists of opportunities and practices to help support students. But then the second step is they're gonna have to figure out what are the needs in their class, what's the activity, and how they're gonna put that together. So we put together a tool using PlayLab for an AI tool, it's the same tool that we used to build Frank's tool. The idea is that you can build into the model all the things that we care about. So the DCAP, all the DCAP is in there. Our portrait of learner skills are in there. Our framework for deeper learning is in there. Universal design guidelines are there. It also knows about all the district approved tools and curriculum that we have. So when it's giving suggestions to teachers, it's talking the way that we want them to talk. It's using the practices and strategies that we want them to use. It's all based in the values and practices that we want to have. And the way it works is teachers come in, they put their grade level, they put what their students' needs are. They don't have to put student information in there. It's just what the needs are in front of them. And they can either upload whatever their assignment is, or they can describe the activity. And we don't want these tools that we use for AI to just be, here's the result, this is what you do. So it gives 2 to 3 suggestions of like, I think these are the great strategies. Which ones do you want to focus on? And teachers can have the opportunity to refine and choose which one they think works best for the kids instead of just following whatever gets spit out by the AI.
And I'll just add in here before you shift to the next one, the MTSS team that worked on refining the DCAP. The DCAP is the District Curriculum Accommodation Plan. It's a state requirement by state law. Every district has to have one. Often these plans, which as Brian noted, have lots of lists of different types of accommodations that we should expect people to be using in the general ed classroom. Often they just sit on shelves. They're like a check in the box, a district does it. Nobody ever looks at it. So the idea that this type of a tool can be embedded in the DCAP, the folks on this team, they were like, wow, this changes everything. So one of our goals consistently is to enable folks to utilize the resources better. And this is one that I think will really change things for educators. So another thing that we did is we tried to articulate the MTSS process across the district. And another thing that the team said was that there were elements of the last DCAP that it had been articulated way better than before, but they were looking for even more. And so we created a kind of visual, which is actually the MTSS tiered system upside down, right? Like, so it's the top of the triangle down. And it kind of guides folks through this process of what our MTSS is, and then it sticks in, here's where you can use the DCAP, here's where the student success teams come in, here's where we'd expect folks to be communicating and interacting with parents and stuff like that. So this was something that came out of that as well. And then in terms of that guideline and the process, the student success teams become a big part of this. So there are a couple of areas where we want to make sure that using tools like the DCAP PAL, that educators can see a student who needs some extra support, and there's an expectation and the ability to provide it or try to themselves. But then the student success teams, which I'm really psyched we've rebranded across the district because we used to call them something different at every school. But the student success teams are, they're essentially the folks that are assembled to provide the next level of support, often for the educators who are saying, so I've tried this and this isn't working, what else can I do? And so they're receiving what we call a referral, different from a special ed referral. But this is like a teacher saying, I've tried some of these things with the student, and these are the results why I think they're still struggling, and I'd like some assistance here. They'll receive a referral, they'll review the data together, they'll identify potential reasons why the student might be experiencing challenges, they'll determine supports together, and who will provide them. And they'll establish follow-up routines, a time frame, so that they can follow up and check the student's progress. And so this kind of consistent workflow, you'll see in every single one of our schools right now.
Can I ask a question? So you're saying the AI tool is loaded in with all of the parameters and all of the DCAP, let's call it framework, right? then you have what, the student data associated with that class that informs them? Okay, that's what I was, that's what.
No, the DCAP PAL is just for helping teachers plan to
Okay.
implement strategies. So those accommodations that are in the DCAP. So let's say I have a sixth grade class and they're doing something in their investigating history curriculum. They can upload the PDF of that lesson and they can say, I have students that need chunking. I have students that need movement breaks. What practices can I do? It gives them 2 to 3 suggestions of strategies.
Okay.
And then they can choose which one they feel fits best to them.
Yeah, where I was talking about reviewing data, that was the student success teams that are doing that review of the data.
Yeah, got a little confused, sorry.
Yeah, no worries.
And I think that leads into, we're trying to get a tool or trying to get a workflow that we can have a dynamic student record that we have all the data on their academics and their SEL, but then we're trying to put this together so we can also track their student strengths, the supports that have been used and successful, and have that travel with the student as well. So you go from, we have this aggregation of student data right now in Open Architects where it has their SEL, it has their academics, and we've started this year putting together those student success team processes with the whole student review that's been going on for the past few years. And this year, the schools are looking at how they can log those strengths and supports that students need into the system. And then it already travels. Like if I have a student that's in 4th grade, when they move up to 5th grade, all this information is part of the system. What we're in development now is to figure out how can we have those supports. So when they're identified by the student success team that they need these strategies, that we can then document what were the strategies that we've tried, how are they monitored to be successful, did it work, did it not work, and then how we can have that part of their record as well.
And the other advantage of doing it systematically across the district is that data can then be analyzed. We can ask, well, what are our kids struggling with the most in terms of where student success teams operate across the district? What kind of interventions have been the most successful? So we can do those kinds of analyses where right now we're a little hampered in doing that. So, and then Ryan and I have been developing a branch of our district website that provides all these resources to families. It kind of gives an overview of MTSS. It provides links to the DCAP, to Title I information, the 504 handbook, and contact information, which is something that came up earlier in this meeting, so that families will know who to ask and where to go and stuff like that. And then also a branch that's our resources for educators that will include obviously the DCAP, protocols for data meetings, tutorials for Open Architect where they can, how they can find the data they need, and student success team resources that we're working on developing. And that's it.
Any questions?
So Cheryl, when you say that, Ryan, when you're talking about the goal is to build a dynamic student record, are you saying Open Architects doesn't currently have the features that we need to carry through for all of the things that
they have
you're
almost
wanting to do with it?
they have almost everything in there. It's when we get to the interventions, they have an intervention tool, but at the school level, the way that we've been tracking interventions and progress monitoring, it has a lot more information that we're doing than what's available to put into the system. So like, we had a meeting today to talk about that with them. Like, how can we be sure that we can keep that real high resolution of what we're tracking now so it can go along with that record in a way.
And additionally, I feel like our self-study of the SSTs, but there are some practices that our schools are using that are not incorporated in OA that should be. And so we're going to them and we're saying, look, they've got a really good process here. We would like you to develop this variable or what have you.
So for Brian, regarding the DCAP PAL and also Frank's support services AI tool he's developing, so that's through PlayLab, you said?
Yeah.
What's our subscription model like with that company?
So right now the PlayLab subscriptions are when you go through the training, you get access to have a district account. So that's what we have now. There's no money attached to it at the moment. Yeah, at the moment. And right now they have a huge model. They have a lot of grant funding.
Yeah.
And from what I hear, to prove their metrics. They need a lot of people used to the platform, so they have a lot of trainings. Anyone can go and get a Play Lab if they like when they go through training. The great part about it is one of the few that actually has a signed student data privacy agreement. Not that either tool that Frank has or this one is putting student data in there, but it means it's a walled garden. So when you're putting information in there, it's not being put back into the tool and being retraining it. It's just living. I give the information and then it forgets, talks to me the next day. Has no idea who I am.
So this may be a problem for tomorrow then, but as especially something like this seems like a good tool that we want and encourage our educators to use broadly. At some point, you're gonna have increasing user base. We're using things more and more often. They're gonna start charging us for tokens and things. Do you have is that something that we have to start budgeting for? Is that, or is that we're gonna cross that bridge when it comes to it?
I think.
Are we gonna lose that, or are we gonna lose access to some of these tools as that they become not free?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. I think one of the benefits of being a Google district is that every year it seems like Google takes into some functionality of these other tools that people have to eventually pay for. If we ever didn't have access to Play Lab, the features of how it's interacting, it's just a chat bot. It can be easily replicated using a Google chat in Gemini. It's the same model where we have a lot of resources that we're putting into it as its memory and as reference in the model. You can do the same thing with the Gemini chat and build our own apps and tools there. Actually, theoretically, could even be better because we could create a front end with coding and make it a lot more interactive. So,
have you got any metrics on what Play Lab has for a logical node capacity for chat or anything?
No, I'm sure I can go dig in and see. One of the things with Play Lab that's interesting is you can also choose the model, which is one reason why to Matt's point, eventually they're gonna have to charge because I can choose Claude, I can choose ChatGPT, I can choose Gemini, I can choose all the ones you can think of, and it's just free for now. But they've been around, 2 years,
Yeah,
2-3 years.
I used it for capital last year,
Yeah.
but it was from the previous year, I think, the training, or early last year or the year before. So it's been, and it had been around 3 years.
Anything else? Thanks.
Sure. Next up, just a couple of quick district updates. They'll go quickly because you've already heard some of them. Others, which is great. Always the way. All right, going. So I'll just continue to update this for district events. I know they're in all the newsletters, but I'll continue to add to it as we go, all the upcoming events that are taking place, so people have it when I share it out to the community. Coming up this week, we have the Fine Arts Festival, and so I recommend that you, if you haven't attended yet or before, to check out the opening night. And we have great music that takes place, but it's really quite something to be able to go through and to see what all of our students are able to do, culminating in their work over all these years, all of these years. Next slide. So what I do, if you know where I find some of the some of these, I'll either find some posts on Facebook, I'll look in their newsletters, or maybe it's an event that I've been at, but I hadn't seen this, and then I just saw it, wanted to add it in because this garden had shared about how there was just a Girls on the Run 5K that some of our students were able to participate in and be part of that organization. That just happened this weekend. You already heard about the Misco Pops concert, so I have that in there, so I'll keep going, but it was awesome. And it's always a packed house. I wish we had larger auditorium space in order to fit all of the people that come to see all of the great music. It's incredible, yeah. Memorials, I'm sorry?
Next capital plan.
Yeah, right, yeah. I think you'll get in trouble if I bring that forward right now, but yeah, that could be the next person. Memorial Specialist Night was also last week, and I got some great photos. And what I loved about it this year, and Matt, I did not put the photo I had of you in here that I saw on Monday something, but I figure like I don't want to put you in every one of the photos I put up here, but what was nice was you had so much interaction with the parents and families and the students, and they were designed to have a lot of interactive activities, and even more so than I've seen in previous years. So it's just really great to see. Next one, we just want to, we got notified of this. I wasn't aware that they had submitted, but one of our second grade students, Catherine, she won first place in an art contest through Spanish Immersion that was a nonprofit for Spanish scientists. So she just got notified that, I think on last Thursday or Friday, we got word of that. So congratulations to her. You've already heard there's lots of buzz around for the Applied Learning Showcase in 1-8 from our MISCO students to our club and Memorial students, but it's really, they really upped their game this year of what they brought forward, and we even had some award winners at the 1-8 showcase. So we're excited for that. That was the first time we had that happen. And then finally, I saw this in the newsletter, as you know, at the high school, really focusing on developing more and more authentic learning experiences. This is one that had happened. It was in the Rise of the City elective, and it's focusing on transforming the city to a living classroom for future urban leaders. They were able to visit Stantec to explore modern planning, and we just want to thank them for hosting us. I swear every week there's a new opportunity. Sometimes I miss them, because there's so many taking place. If you look back just even 5 years ago, the amount of opportunities that we have for our students going off-site and engaging in authentic experiences is pretty incredible. And that's because of the leadership at the high school and department chairs, and just a lot of focused work on that the last number of years. And that's it. So I will share that out in the next newsletter and have it on the website so people can see all the great things that are taking place in case they missed it. And then our next short presentation, Jay is gonna come on up. Let's see here. So way back here. Yeah, way in the back. And we'll give you a couple. We do have some very, late breaking news from some of our capital project meetings, even today.
Late breaking news.
Yeah, I mean, today. We get we're in a good spot. Getting in a good spot.
Yeah, a good spot.
Don't you think? I thought so. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. It's really kind of like putting the pressure on here. So now I gotta be engaging and everything.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm excited.
Yeah. All right, capital projects, your bi-weekly report. You just go on to slide 3, Sam. That's just a nice picture. All right, let's start with the roof and the HVAC equipment. Construction documents are at 98%. Pretty much everything we have to do as far as commissioning has to do with MSBA. They've been pretty slow at getting all that stuff processed, but they are moving along. So we're incorporating some of those notes, and edits are being made to go out to bid. As far as the timeline for what we're looking at, RFQ is a request for qualifications that has nothing to do with money. It has to do with whether they're qualified to actually bid on the project in the first place. We go through that process. That'll happen in the next couple of weeks. The request for bids, RFPs, will go out later in June. The proposals will be due back mid-July. Building committee will review it in August and just make a selection at that point. That's sort of the time frame we're looking at right now for that project. As far as we're working hard to make sure that we incorporate the HVAC equipment with the energy management system, and there's been questions that Ken has had about whether they're doing a rooftop unit, but it connects to a unit that's in the building. Are we replacing the unit in the building? Are they doing the lines in between? Some of those questions have been answered, but Ken has a lot of other questions, so we'll get through all of those. Fairly confident in how that's going to go. On the facilities, construction starts in about a month. We awarded a contract at the last building committee meeting to a company called, I think I have it on a future slide here. GVW or G. Do you guys remember the initials?
Yeah, it's right there.
Oh, it's right there. Okay. Oh, yeah, I see it there. Okay, I actually wrote this. I should have noticed that. Bid documents were there. We got the bids in. The project budget was about a little over 6.4 million. The bid came in at around 6 million.
If you guys remember, we had 4 alternates to those projects. The first 2 had to do with the municipal auditorium, the seats and the carpeting. The second 2, third and fourth alternates were for curbing at the school at Memorial and Clough. We declined all of them. The reason we did that is because we don't have pricing on the generator yet until we know what the generator is going to cost. It's all part of the same facilities project. We can always go back and do the auditorium next summer as a separate bid. So I think it'll all get done eventually, but we wanted to wait on the generator piece in order to make sure we are covering our bases. So we had about 400,000 leeway there. We've had some discussions about the generator as well. They're coming out Thursday. We're trying to find an alternative site. We're not thrilled with the location we have that they're picking. It may be the only location we have, but that's kind of what we're going to review on Thursday. Those estimates should be back toward the end of this week. Construction is planned for the summer of 27, so we have plenty of time as far as that goes. You can see an image here of this is generally where they're proposing the generator on the right side of the driveway, the transformer on the left side, surrounded with a shielded fence. We're not overly thrilled with those locations. That may be the only place it can go, but it kind of means that as you're driving up the driveway to Misco, it looks like you're entering a power plant. Carports already do that enough. So I think we're going to try to see if we can locate at least the generator somewhere else and potentially the transformer as well. So we'll make some decisions on that or get some more information about this Thursday, how that's going to go. The field project, as you know, we've had some issues with vernal pools, wetlands and stuff. This is the original proposal that came out where we had vernal pools in the middle of the track. We had wetlands in the middle of the track. We were very hesitant that the vernal pools, we would be allowed to relocate them. So they came back last week. This is a very high level view of sort of turning the field a little bit more parallel to the street and moving that driveway, the entrance driveway that comes in right by the fields there. That was one thing that we discussed last week at the build. It was this week actually at the building committee. It was last week. Oh, that's right. It was
Yeah, the next slide's today.
Okay, so this was last week. Not a, you know, there would be some expense in redoing the driveway. So today they came back with another version here where they tilted it a little bit more, but they don't have to move the driveway then. We still don't hit, we're still off the vernal pools. We only have one wetland area that we have to replicate, and that's in the track, the lower right corner. This particular design, they had said that they potentially were going to eliminate the sidewalk that would go from the concession stand around to the bleachers on the street side. We told them today that it needs to be a sidewalk. We can't have people walking out onto Pleasant Street to get in on that side or walking out and around. They feel that they can do that. There was some discussion today that reducing the track, which is 8 lanes on the straightaway to 6 lanes. My understanding is that that would mean that we wouldn't be able to hold a state meet, but we'd be able to do everything else. That would give us a little bit more room, bring the field down a little bit, give us some more leeway on the left side so that we can get a sidewalk around there. We've had some discussions about location of the storage building, which right now you can see it about probably about the 40-yard line on the lower right side. We're looking at potentially putting it over by the concession stand, maybe on that patch that you can see right to the left of the straightaway. We're not really sure. We're still working through that, but this was the design that came forward with today, which kind of handles a lot of other issues that we've been facing as well. So they're going to continue to work on this drawing and this idea to see if this can be viable.
So it's worth mentioning that the driveway, it's showing that the driveway is impeded for construction purposes. And that there's a sidewalk essentially that gives access to the bleachers. So they're essentially saying that they're not going to dramatically change that. It's just there's a possibility of the parking spaces along the driveway.
Right. Right. There's about 10 spaces along the driveway by the scoreboard up to the street. We probably lose all those spaces.
The reason why I think Maureen's so happy is because instead of showing us this impossible situation where we can't destroy a vernal pool or another impossible situation where we can't,
we're getting to
have the track here. We're finally getting into a point where they've gotten the drawing to figure out where
Because now the vernal pools are not impacted with this plan. And
it's a little bit of a tight squeeze for some of the bleachers and things, but
So on that top two, you can see the bleachers look a little bit, different types. The ones on the left are more building in kind of terraced into the side, and the ones on the right are like kind of more standard bleachers. There won't be that many there. That's actually, they put too many in there.
Yeah.
So they'll work on that.
The lines you see in the field are not, those are the old field, not the new field.
Yeah.
So that, because when I first looked at this, I'm looking and saying, well, the bleachers are at the end zone. That's not good. That's not the case. Once the field is turned, they're at approximately at the 40 to 40 yard line. We originally had talked about 800 seats. I think we're down to probably around 500 seats now, which I believe is adequate.
And that's gonna be adjustment as well, because right now they're showing two sets of bleachers that was supposed to be for like 800 people.
Right.
And the one on the
Ideally.
left is to utilize the sloped nature of Pleasant Street drop. So the idea would be to move those over to more to the center of the field. And the press box is the right section of those.
Right up in the middle, smack dab. You'll see.
So you probably see something that has a press box in the middle and more of a spread out nature of those tiered.
What that does as well is by putting the press box up there, we can have access off of Pleasant Street right into the press box, which means we don't have to put an elevator in the building if we're down on the bottom end of the
So there's a
field.
lot of advantages.
So we're sort of getting to a point where we have a viable solution. It's taken a long time to get there, but I think we're getting there. They're going to continue to work on this. We're not meeting with them next Monday, but I'm sure he said as soon as he has more detailed plans, he would get them out to us. So probably the end of this week.
The maintenance shed, they said they were gonna try to move it over toward the concessions to reduce costs as well. So there's a lot of, and there's water, being able to evacuate the water from the field can be done at the surface and stuff buried, and there's a bunch of things that they're working on. So a lot of good news. Hopefully this will be passable through the Conservation Commission.
Well, I think relocating the one wetlands that's basically now probably in the end zone, that's a viable option. They've known about that all along. The rest of them we're not going to have to deal with anymore. As far as the schedule, there still hasn't been a lot of changes there. With the field project, we're probably looking at potentially getting documents out toward the end of the summer, getting bids in. My guess is we would start construction January, probably, if it's not too cold of a winter. Probably you have to wait till the ground thaws, although I'm not sure I understand that because only about the first 4 inches freezes. Beyond that, those machineries can dig holes, I think, if they have to. So it would then carry through. It's probably about, I'd say, a 1.5-year project to get the fields completed. It's not something that's going to happen in 6 months. That's about your quick update at this point.
Has the redesign caused were you worried about the design costs being higher if they are iterating on it like this much?
No, they haven't come back to us with that yet. I'm sure there is going to be some additional costs because they're spending a lot of time designing this. I think more of the concern is the overall construction cost for the entire fields project. Misco's fields, Nipmuc's other fields, and this field as well. I think that's more of the concern that we're going to be looking at. And that's part of why they came back with maybe we don't move the driveway, because I think that would probably be a fairly expensive thing to put a new driveway in. There's also an electrical box, which I can visualize, but I don't know what's in it. But that's kind of in the way of the road as well, if they have to reconfigure the road.
That's, by the way, that is a concern. I'm not, yes, I know it's less than it is. The design costs are larger than we expect.
The whole cost, the whole project, the field project, that's finances are concerned all the way around.
The good news with this is if we're in that other situation, one with the vernal pools, who knows if it would even go through, but if it did, it would cost a lot more to like mitigate it with the lower we hit on this field. We're impacting lots of wetlands and a lot more costs related to some of those features. So it seems like with the turning, we might be avoiding some of the costs that we were looking at a little while ago.
So I guess ultimately the bottom line is we are making progress. I know it's not visible progress, but there is progress behind the scenes and things are getting done. But the building renovations is going to start in the next month. As a matter of fact, I didn't even put it in here, but they were in Misco today, putting in the wiring for the door access. They're gonna be in this building tomorrow. They've got 4 schools, but they were running the wires already. So that's moving along as well. Any questions?
I was going to ask about that too, because I knew because we're paying for that with a grant that has to be done by.
Yeah.
June, something, right?
Yes. They are confident they'll be done and have it ready to go.
Great.
All right. On to grants.
Yeah, so when we first kind of heard about it, I think we gave a quick update sort of mid-year, but because we're heading into the phase of needing to spend money to do this, I wanted to make sure we did the full approval process that we have now that we've updated the policy. So it's a total of 4,500. I gave you in the background notes, like all the information about the grants that club received. One is the 2026 Waterwise Garden Grant. And that is 1,000 in grant funding. I think part of it's an irrigation supply kit. They also were awarded garden grant from Whole Kids Foundation. And so they're pretty excited that they were able to receive 2 separate grants to support kind of revitalizing their garden that they put in a number of years ago. So we just need a vote to approve them.
I move that the school committee accepts the garden grants for the Clough School. Amount of $4,500 or so to be expended by the superintendent principal.
There's a motion to approve the 2 grants. Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Yay, gardens. All right. On to school committee subcommittees. Budget subcommittee. Mendon vote tomorrow, and then we can hopefully all breathe easy for a little while. Policy subcommittee, Vicky's not here.
I can do it. So we haven't met since our last school committee meeting. So it's just a couple of the policies that Vicky brought forth for our first reading. Bring up for our second reading and hopefully we can approve them. So that's DB, the annual budget. We reviewed the policy DB1, but we are basically taking that DB1 policy, which is meant for regional school committees, and incorporating it into our existing DB policy, which is kind of a generic municipal school district policy. And then we have a DB1R, measurement of expenses for regional school districts. Well, it's just DBR. And then finally, there's DEC, federal fund supplement. So those are the 3 that we're bringing forward for a second.
Any questions or comments on the policies to be amended? Motion.
I make a motion to approve all of the second reading policies.
A motion to approve DB1R and recode to DBR and DEC. Second. Second, Carrie, all in favor?
Aye.
Negotiation superintendent eval.
The last meeting, Dr. Cohen gave her end of the year update presentation on goals. We'll be having a meeting as the superintendent evaluation subcommittee this Thursday, May 21st at 5:45 to review the evidence and provide feedback. We'll share findings with the whole committee, and the evaluation will take place at the June 8th meeting. So this will be my annual plea to everybody to look at all of the evidence and to submit your review as quickly as possible. So I'm not up all night the night before.
That never happened.
No.
And I'll get that to you after I meet on Thursday in case there's any suggestions for changing or anything. I'll get it to you and then that gives you a couple weeks.
Okay, so let me understand, which weeks now? So not this week, so.
That's the subcommittee that's meeting this week.
Okay,
And then June 8th is the meeting, so ideally
she receives
Okay.
it a week before.
Alright.
That would be ideal.
Thank
right?
Yes.
I think that's a lofty goal, but.
Make sure I.
Tour by the fifth. That we sit down here all weekend.
But lofty, but that's okay, we'll try to do that.
I'm in Texas that first week of June, so I definitely should do it before.
It would be greatly appreciated.
And one thing I forgot to add in here, but the Golden Apple, we put out, we're still on our, pretty close to our timeline from the last couple of years. So we put it out, we have at least 30 people have submitted so far. And the deadline is this Friday. And then we would need to next week find a time to take a look at that. And then, because we want to have enough time in advance, because usually we do it at that June 8th meeting too. So we want to let people know a week in advance so they can schedule to be there. So lots of good things happening.
Other matters not anticipated by the committee within 48 hours. Future agenda items, district strategic priorities, Golden Apple, school choice, and reorganization. All right.
Right.
With that,
Motion adjourned.
motion approved by Sean,
Second.
second by Matt, all in favor.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned at 8:59 Nipmuc time.
As opposed to what's the real time?
8:57.